Hello, Bryan Colter here, Evolutionary Astrologer, for another horoscope report about this upcoming Capricorn supermoon that happens on July 13th, but really we're talking about the energy for the rest of the month. Before we get to that, though, I want to talk more big picture and discuss some of these larger cycles before we dig into the minutiae of the full moon. And I want to enter into this by talking about Pluto. Pluto is very important to discuss, especially right now, for two reasons. For starters, on the 12th of July, Pluto will be making its second of three Pluto returns for the United States of America in 2022. And what a Pluto return means is Pluto is exactly returning to the sky where it was on that fateful day during the signing of the Declaration of Independence. So 2022 is a major year of, we could say, transformation for the U.S., equally as significant as that day of declaration. So, that's reason number one. Reason number two is this full moon, this supermoon, is happening exactly conjunct Pluto in the sky. Now, what Pluto does when it's going through any sign or interacting with the planet, it's the planet of extremes. It tends to bring out the extremes, both good and bad extremes, accentuating the polarity between light and dark potentials of whatever it touches. So, the extreme dark side of Capricorn amongst the collective are woundedness, because Pluto ultimately, and that's why it brings about extremes, because it's really bringing up the wounds personally, but also within the collective karma. And the nature of our wounds is they rise to the surface to be expressed, hence the extremes that Pluto brings about. And when Pluto enters a new sign, there's this major energetic shift and this pulse of extreme energy of that sign. And then later, as it's finishing up the final degrees of that sign, which it is right now, there's also a major pulse. And in addition to that, especially when it interacts with any of the more slow-moving transpersonal planets, it also is at its maximum pulse. For example, when it conjuncted Saturn back in January 2020, okay? So when Pluto entered Capricorn in 2008, what happened then? We had that major economic crash where the planet of extremes brought out the dark side of Capricorn, which is the dark side of ambition. It's about control. It's about governments. It's about the rich and powerful, that darker side of ambition. And of course, the economic crash was a part of that. There was a reason we had a crash, and it was because people were taking advantage of the system. Now, we fast forward to 2020, January, Pluto, now infamous conjunction with Saturn in Capricorn throughout 2020. Okay, that's when the pandemic started. Okay, again, we see the extremes of Saturn in Capricorn, which is about control, it's about isolation, it's about top-down power, us struggling with feelings of separation, limitation, loneliness. It's like, you can't make this stuff up. It was so obvious. That event was so powerful. I mean, every astrologer, they could see it coming. We didn't know exactly how it was going to manifest, but it was a rough year. Now, Saturn and Capricorn is still very strong throughout 2021 and 2022, because Saturn's been in this ongoing square with Uranus, which we're hitting a hot spot this month with it, and then especially in October of 2022. But we'll talk more about that later. Just sticking with Pluto, really the idea is it's bringing the wounds to the surface, bringing the extremes to the surface so we can see them in all their horror, And since 2020, it's like they've been crumbling, and they've been, tightening their grip to insane levels. And we're seeing so much of the darkness come out. It's becoming so obvious. It's becoming, practically Orwellian. It's like, and because of this, so many people are waking up, shining a spotlight on that dark side of Capricorn, so that ultimately, and this is the grand purpose of Pluto, the god of hell, is to turn our hells into paradises, okay? So we had to see how insane it was, how bad it was, okay? Meanwhile, the income gap inequality has increased substantially. It was already bad before 2020. Now it's crazy. The rich have gotten way richer. Okay, they've gotten way more powerful. Money corrupts, has corrupted politics. It's like, okay, so we're really seeing it. This is about to change in a big way. Okay, especially towards the beginning of 2023, when Pluto finally begins to dip its toes in Aquarius. Okay, and then it'll go retrograde. It'll go back into Capricorn for a while. But in 2023 and 2024, we have Pluto's grand entrance into Aquarius, finally leaving Capricorn. Okay, we take that idea, and then we add to it in 2025, Neptune, which has been in Pisces since 2012, will enter into Aries there in 2025, another major shift. And then we also have Uranus. By the way, these are the three slowest moving planets. And whenever they change sign, it's significant. Uranus is changing into Gemini 2026. So you have these major planets all changing sign within a few years of each other, which is pretty rare, So it's like this 3-step shift into a whole new world. Okay. Now, what is that world we create? That's, what's the timeline we shift into? That's totally dependent on us as individuals, but also as a collective. But what the world would look like in 2023, 2025, and then 2026 is completely different than the world we live in now. And how amazing it is, or can be, is dependent on our level of consciousness amongst the collective. So that's a major feature of my work with evolutionary astrology. How can we read the symbols and ultimately to be more in alignment with our purpose? That's more looking at our own personal birth chart stuff, but also aware of the archetypal waves that are activated for us now as a collective, and actively work with that energy instead of against it, with the goal being to raise our consciousness. And the more we raise our consciousness, the better the future we'll create. Now, I wanted to start with this big picture stuff because I'm actually quite excited about the world we're headed into. I'm ready to let go of the past, which is a beautiful mantra for Pluto and Capricorn, by the way, because dark side Capricorn, another component of it, it can be resistant to change. It's the classic elder archetype. And, elder energy, and elder has nothing to do with your age. People can be born an elder, and part of that is the wisdom that they're born with, that twinkle in their eye, that level of maturity they're born with. But then also another feature of a more dark side of elder is to just get stuck in your ways. It's stagnated habit energies. So a good mantra right now is I'm ready to let go of the old and embrace the new. I don't know what the new will be, and that's kind of, a lot of things. It's exciting, but also scary, and it's like, where are we going to take this? I don't know, but I know it's going to be significant. This is a major generational shift that we're headed into. So this year is really of 2020, 2021, 2022 is like the final hot spot, the last hurrah of this Capricorn stagnation as we head into this new future. So let's go ahead and bring up the charts. And, the U.S. is a big part of this, but let me switch screens here. Give me a sec. Okay, here we go. So this is the chart for this full moon. And as we can see, Pluto, let me bring up the cursor here. Pluto is very powerfully placed conjunct the supermoon. And I don't have the U.S. chart up here, but the U.S. Pluto is at 27.5 degrees of Capricorn in the second house of the U.S. chart. Second house deals with our sense of security, both psychological security, but also just the more tangible, practical elements of, survival, food, water, shelter, money. It's classically known as the house of money. Pluto returned in 2022 for the U.S., a complete transformation with the money systems, with our sense of security. U.S. is going through just monumental change. So this year is particularly important. And again, embracing change is really the best thing you can do right now. The dark side of Capricorn is, I guess you could say, the old curmudgeon who looks at the past more favorably than today and stubbornly clings to the past. There's that, artifacts of the past, that habit energy, and can have a general resistance to adaptation. The world is changing and fast in this age of information. So it's best thing we can do is really go with that change instead of being negative about where we're at, and instead be proactively engaged in creating something better. So that's a really good way, just in general, but especially if you're in the US, it's like, okay, we're in this change. A lot of it's scary, but like, how can we make it better? Because with anything that we create as humans, and we are major manifestors, anything we create, we can do good with it and we can do bad with it. There's nothing inherently bad about any change that happens. For example, here's a good one that hits close to home for us now with Pluto and Capricorn in US second house. We talk about money, digital currency. The idea of digital currency can be terrifying if you look at it through that lens. But there is a way to work with digital currency, just like anything in life, that is empowering, that brings us more freedom and liberation instead of control. It all comes down to how we use it or abuse it, So being more positive about, okay, how can we work? I'm just using a random example there, obviously, but anything, all this great transformation we're going through, how can we use this for good instead of for ill, Now, when speaking about woundedness, we also want to talk about emotion, and it's important to talk about emotion, especially with the moon involved, because full moon, we're really, it's all about really feelings are subject of reality. People feel stronger, more strongly, typically during full moon events. Okay. Now, Pluto, the planet of extremes, hitting the supermoon, and what a supermoon means basically is the moon is literally the closest to Earth that it will be all year. Okay, and it looks a little larger in the sky. So we're feeling, our feelings are accentuated. Okay, Pluto being about healing from wounds ultimately, that we're working with, especially if you have strong cardinal energy in your own birth chart. That means Pluto, as it's been going through Capricorn, has been activating your chart. Part of that transformation process is working with the emotional dark side of Capricorn, which can be control issues, as I said before, but also basically a shutdown heart, a calcification in your ability to feel. So it's important now during this supermoon, I feel, to soften, to really connect to your heart energy and not be that old grouch curmudgeon stubbornly refusing to adapt and to fearing a future outcomes and stuck on those habit energies and ultimately being in fear consciousness. That's a symptom of having a shut down heart. So Pluto through Capricorn is like, oh, how can I open my heart? How can I soften? How can I heal? And in so doing, be more loving and raise my consciousness. The level of consciousness for the feeling of love is about 500 from 0 to 1,000. And I know that doesn't seem very high. It's only halfway. But anytime you get above 200 on that scale, you're working at a more positive, loving state. And then you hit that 500 level. In fact, very few humans on the planet can actually sustain 500 level consciousness. But the more we heal from our wounds, the more we open our heart and we can get to that love state. And the more love we can experience individually and as a collective, we bump on that better timeline for this new generational shift. So this is, with Pluto, in part about facing our own personal darkness. There's that hell energy, exploring the hells to transmute into paradises. And just one more comment about hell. This is a, pretty good segue, actually. I just did a chart spotlight video for my Patreon community about Hitler. When we think about hell or darkness, he's the figure that comes to mind usually first. And my Patreon community wanted me to look at that chart, so we looked at it. And his chart in particular is one of the most deceptive astrology charts in existence, because if you were to look at it blind and not knowing it's his, He is a Taurus sun in the 7th house of marriage. He is a Libra rising. Uh, he has a Venus ruled chart in Taurus, her own sign, also in the 7th house. It's probably the strongest Venusian chart I've ever seen. Venus is the goddess of peace and beauty and connection and love and artistic expression and attractiveness. It's really a head scratcher. If you look at that chart, you would never guess that's his chart, you know? And a lot of astrologers have had egg on their face when they've been tested with that chart, you know? His chart in particular is where evolutionary astrology shines the most, because the emphasis with evolutionary astrology is we spend a lot of time working with the nodes through the lens of reincarnation, and we look at the past life energies of any chart to gain clues about how they're meant to work with their birth chart in the current life. And his karmic signature is very dramatic. It is the rise of the ambitious king, followed by the great fall. He's got the karma of, you know, just metaphorically, of Genghis Khan or something like that, or equally bad. So he obviously recreated his karmic signature again in his most recent life. And he repeated the karmic signature. So his chart is so perfect for evolutionary astrology. We had fun looking at it. And if you're interested in my in that community of Patreon, you can see the link on the screen there, but I'll also put a link below in the show description. But come check it out. We're having fun there, and you know, we're able to work with each other in a more intimate level, do live calls, and with the goal being the same, to raise our consciousness within that community. So returning to this supermoon, we talked about Capricorn and Pluto. There's some other significant stuff going on here. This, especially the end of the month, and this will be the major subject of the next video, you're going to have Mars conjuncting Uranus next to the North Node. This triple conjunction is very rare, and it's a major hot spot in this year. It's one of the biggest hot spots of 2022. And this is a precursor, and we're getting a teaser of what October is going to be like for this year, when we're getting the final strong square between Uranus and Saturn. So the end of this month, end of July, beginning of August is going to be, let's just say, explosive. That's a little hint for what we're going to be talking about a lot in the next video. But it's going to be a little preview for what October is going to be like. This year is going to be very interesting to watch. So we're kind of preparing for what's going to happen at the end of the month. It feels somewhat yin, introspection, looking within right now, before we get a major, I said hot spot, but basically a yang blast, you know. It is very much about throwing a lit match in the fireworks pile, you know, Mars and Uranus is. So we're preparing for that. The energy that's going on now is this Uranus is activated right now, but in a more calmer way, because the moon, about emotional healing, about healing in general, is in a beautiful trine aspect to that Uranus in the North Node. And if you've been watching my videos this year, I've talked a lot about this North Node in Taurus. It's about establishing an inner peace. That's our karmic medicine right now. A more harmonious relationship with our own bodies and with Earth. Taurus is connected to both of those things. And Uranus is about a lot of things. One thing it's about technologies, you know, technologies coming out that help us with our relationship with the Earth, with our own bodies, with healing. As many of you know, I do guided meditations at the end of these astrology videos. What we'll be focusing on is using our superpower, which is our focused intent, in a theta state, which is a meditative state, focusing on various areas of our body to send healing energy there, to use what I call technologies, meditations, to heal the significant chakras in our system. And then at the end of the meditation, we'll send that accrued energy, at least the excessive parts of that energy that we don't really need, down into Earth. We're going to bless Earth. So it's a very powerful meditation. I hope you enjoy it. And the last thing I want to mention here really is we have this beautiful Venus in Gemini in a square aspect to Neptune in Pisces. And this is deeply imaginative and creative because Venus is the goddess of the arts, and she's in aspect with this visionary energy of Neptune in Pisces. So this idea of creative inspiration, it feels very Shakespearean, it feels very poetic, it feels like beautiful creations flowing through you from, above, it's like the light bulb moment. It's like energy coming in from higher dimensions flowing through you. So it's a great time if you have any artistic hobbies to combine the hobby of the artistic expression with that of meditation, because that's Neptune in Pisces. And, the idea of having a beautifully deep meditation and then immediately start your writing or your painting or something like that, and then entering into that meditative flow state through that creative act. So that's a beautiful way to work with this combo of planets. Of course, there's less beautiful ways of working with it as well. More within the collective, we'll also see the dark side of this. And of course, it's good to be cautious about this within yourself, especially if you're looking within Pluto style at your own traumas and your own woundedness. But, Venus is in the sign of Gemini, the communicator. So it deals with communication with others, with people. Venus is a relational planet. Here it is square to Neptune. One of the shadow sides of this is deception, lying. You have Neptune in the mix, and Neptune and Venus, which the dark side of both these planets is manipulation on some level. So be cautious about deception and trying to be manipulated. This energy, if used for ill, would be like the unscrupulous car salesman trying to take advantage, or any salesman for that matter, taking advantage of people and manipulating them, trying to control their perception of reality. So just be careful. Just have your psychic deflector shields up if you feel into that. Just protect yourself, because there'll be a lot of that this month. And that's about it. I mean, within these larger cycles that I'm talking about, I'm very excited about. We got 2 more major hot spots this year. Again, softening that battle-hardened heart, that calcified Capricorn heart, being open to change, being suspicious of, let's say, the parts of us that want to cling to the past, the habit energies of the past. The future is coming. There's nothing we can do about it. But what we can do about it is come from love, come from high frequency, and do our own small part within the collective to bump on this amazing timeline. And of course, this meditation at the end will help us to reach that level 500 consciousness and stay there, especially if you practice the meditation daily. The amount of minutes per day you could stay at 500 level will be increased day by day. But it takes work. Spiritual progress is an everyday work. So this is the supermoon horoscope video. These are the core evolutionary intentions, with the goal being to expand our consciousness. Now we'll move on to the meditation. As usual, I recommend headphones because I use a technology called binaural beats to help you get into that deep meditative state. Enjoy. Let's begin by focusing on the breath and allow the breath to help you sink into a deep meditative state. And add a count to the breath. 7 seconds per inhale. 1 second hold at the top of the breath. 7 seconds on the exhale. 1 second hold at the bottom of the breath. And maintain this rhythm. The 7-1-7-1 pattern. And be aware about how your whole body expands as you inhale. You breathe into the belly. And maintain this comfortable rhythmic breathing throughout the whole meditation. Now bring your awareness down into both of your legs. Feel like you're in both of your legs. And using imprinting ether, visualize a snow white color inside of the legs and a whitish glow coming a couple inch off of your legs and around them. And with each inhale, for 7 seconds, see that white color become brighter and brighter. And with each exhale, the air goes out, but the energy stays in. On the next inhale, see that white color begin to raise from your legs up into your pelvis area. And now into your belly and lower back. And feel this energy move in your body. And now up into the solar plexus and middle back. And now into the chest and upper back and shoulders. And now begin to see it move down your shoulders and your upper arms into your elbows. Forearms, wrists, and hands. And on the next inhale, bring your attention back up through your arms, and now see this white color that's throughout your body come up into the neck area and come up the back of your head, top of your head, and move down over your forehead and eyes, cheeks and nose, lips and chin, and tongue and throat. And on the next inhale, expand your awareness throughout your entire body and visualize yourself glowing in a brilliant white light in all directions around you. Now we're going to focus on cultivating healing energy in some of your chakras. Bring your attention up to the top of your head, known as the crown chakra, and visualize a brilliant snow white sphere with a violet color on the periphery on your crown chakra. and visualize it as bright as you possibly can. Your crown chakra is now energized, cleansed, and healthy. Now bring your attention to between your eyebrows. And visualize a brilliant snow-white sphere with violet on the periphery on your third eye chakra. And on the next inhale, visualize it becoming even brighter. Your third eye is now energized, cleansed, and healthy. Now move your attention down to your throat. Visualize a brilliant snow-white sphere with violet around the periphery on your throat chakra. And on the next inhale, see it even brighter. Your throat chakra is now energized, cleansed, and healthy. Now move around to the back of your heart, on your back. And visualize a snow-white sphere with violet on the periphery on your back heart chakra, and see it glow brightly. Your back chakra is now energized, cleansed, and healthy. Now return to your solar plexus. It's that open space between the bottom ribs. And visualize the snow-white sphere with violet on the periphery in your front solar plexus chakra. It is now energized, cleansed, and healthy. Now move around to the back solar plexus chakra and visualize the same white sphere with violet. It is now energized, cleansed, and healthy. Now move to your navel. And we're going to change the color here a little bit. And visualize a snow-white sphere, just white, on your navel chakra. And see it energized, cleansed, and healthy. And now move down to the pubic area where the sex chakra is. And again, visualize a snow white sphere, just white. Your sex chakra is now energized, cleansed, and healthy. And now move your attention to the base of your spine and visualize a white sphere on the base of your spine. Your basic chakra is now energized, cleansed, and healthy. Now move your attention to the soles of your feet and visualize snow white etheric vitality spheres in both of the soles of your feet. And say to yourself silently, my soul chakras are now energized, cleansed, and healthy. And now expand your awareness throughout your body and see your body in that white color. And during this meditation, we've cultivated a lot of etheric vitality. And now we want to release any excess energy by blessing Mother Earth. Move your attention to the base of your spine and the soles of your feet simultaneously, and visualize a brilliant gold color going down through your body into the earth below you, saturating the ground below you by about 10 feet deep, and spreading throughout your local area. And send healing energy and blessings to Mother Earth. And thank Mother Earth for being your temporary home. Send that golden energy down into the earth. Now return your attention back to your body. See your entire body glow in this luminous white color. And as the music begins to fade, slowly start to wiggle your fingers and toes. Stretch a little bit. And whenever you're ready, open your eyes.